a privilege, and I'll tell you why. Reason being, back then when we were starting our own careers, I really wish we had such a platform where you could bring in people together to discuss ideas and share knowledge. Um, it is actually good and relevant because people who are just starting up, they really need a direction. They need to hear from people from the industry who are living what they want to live in future. So I think this is a great initiative. I mean, you shouldn't be thanking me or the guests that you're inviting. I think we need to thank you for creating this kind of a platform. So kudos. This is a great job done.
Yeah, thank you, Ritamra. So, so for all of y'all, like Expert has been doing this since a while, and since last 2 weeks, we've managed to have 12 experts who were ready, to be part of this initiative and back us up, as we take these tiny steps to making students job ready and basically make them more proactive and help them work confident to an interview. So Ritamra was someone, yesterday while we spoke to her, she was super excited. She was like, I wish I had something like this 2 years back. And that gives us, the confidence to, basically building Expert and helping us, making us feel that we're in the right direction. So thank you, Ritamra. And you can take over. And all of you all, she'll address you all for half an hour, and thereafter the forum would be open to questions.
Yeah. So I think because this is B2B, I'm expecting that the audience here is more about more intrigued to learn what is B2B marketing, and I have been into it for past good amount of time. I think all my career, 15 years, I have been into B2B. I've never really been into consumer. So let me give you a gist of what I have learned or what I have been doing so far. So B2B marketing as such, and I'll be very happy if the participants can actually type in their profiles, what they're doing currently. That will give us a base to address, maybe if they have questions or something to cover from their perspective, their side of the story. On B2B, look, B2B is where you're talking to a company. No, you're not talking to a consumer. I think that's the basic difference that we have between B2C and B2B. I am a person who wants to simplify things. So you won't really find me talking a lot in the bookish language because we hear it all the time. I really want to simplify things. I really like when somebody talks to me in a simple language. So I'll try and maintain that in this session. So B2B is nothing. It's just that you are marketing your product to an organization who's further selling their products to somebody else, and you're not really marketing it for an individual. I mean, you to an individual or to a consumer who's going to use it for his own self. I mean, the need could be very basic. The need could be luxury. Here, the need is making money because you're kind of spending dollars to reach out to that particular company who instead is going to sell their own product to their buyers. So for B2B, I think it's extremely critical that as a marketer, you also take an extra mile to understand not just this organization for which you're kind of marketing your product, but also to understand what is the buyer's buyer thinking. When you start approaching the buyer's buyer, I'll come to marketing your product to the organizations when it is B2B. But when you're going that extra mile, when you're just you're not just talking to the organizations, but you're talking to their buyers, that is called pull marketing, because you're already convincing the buyer's buyer about this product. So if the client's client is kind of convinced, the client is automatically convinced. Now what happens with these organizations who you need to reach out to? Suddenly we see a shift. So in B2C, your approach could be very interest centric. As an individual, what is the need? The pitch could be very desire centric. But when you talk to the organization, you have to have it has a very unique approach, by the way. I mean, it has to be more logical. You need to have an understanding of the business. I mean, not your own business, of course, your own organization, you have to have an understanding of. but then what is happening with your client's business? What is his day looking like on a daily basis? What really happens is at times, we kind of are so much under pressure from the target perspective that we forget that this person is also earning his own bread and butter. And I mean, as an individual, as a marketer, you could actually add in so much to his business model, to the way he is generating revenues. I think the pitch needs to be around that. The second part is, where do you find this audience? Because in B2B, your audience is very, very niche. It's very small as compared to B2C. So where are these guys? I mean, traditionally, I think we were doing conferences, we were doing trade shows. Now online has, of course, taken over. And I mean, the kind of data that online provides, I think online is now a necessity for any marketing operation. So how do we capture them? I really want to spend some time on the data, because I think when you do B2B marketing, what is extremely critical is your targeting. If you're not talking to the right person, or if you're spending dollars, let's say for paid media, I'm not sure if you guys are aware yet. Paid media is any ad which you're buying online. Okay, any ad space that you're buying online. So if, let's say, there are not many people from your target audience who's kind of visiting your page, or looking at that ad, the spillage could be more, and that's where kind of losing money. So where is it that you should, what kind of targeting will help you reach out to the relevant audience? That's one. Now second, let's say even if you reached out to this relevant audience in B2B space again, you need to divide your audience into different buckets, right? I mean, so for example, let's talk about a high ticket item. Let's say, as an individual, you're going to buy a car, okay? And you enter a showroom and you look at these models. It could just be window shopping. You never know. I do that a lot of times, not with the mindset of really buying a car, but I just want to check out models. So you go there, your name is registered. Now, which bucket are you in? There could be people who would be there to buy a car. There could be people who would just end up looking for it. I don't even know driving, but I like looking at cars and looking at the new models. So how do they target me versus how do they target somebody who's already in the buying cycle? When you're talking about B2B, buying cycle is extremely important, because you could buy a nail polish in a day's time, but when it is a car or it is an investment for your business, the decision making is actually a longer period of time. I mean, it could take 3 months, it could take 6 months, maybe a year, or maybe more. You never know. So with B2B, your data is extremely precious. The data that you generate from the industry that you're targeting, you need to keep nurturing that data. Okay, now when you nurture, this is where these buckets come into the picture. One, a customer who's extremely raw, who's absolutely amateur, who needs to be given more information, okay, as to what are the trends in the industry. Why should he be investing in a particular technology that you're selling or a product that you're selling? And then, bucket B, okay, fine. Now he's a little more convinced. Let us talk about the applications of your products, right? And then 3, okay, let's just bring him in for a demo, maybe. So that's how your journey progresses. And when you're talking about B2B marketing, any marketing for that matter, but then because the buying cycle is long, I think you need to spend enough time understanding and assuming what would be the next step of this bucket, that bucket, and how do you keep on retargeting these guys with relevant content, talking enough sense into it, so they can make an appropriate decision. Lastly, I think this is how B2B kind of works. But as a person, I think it's extremely important that you guys, because I mean, if you are starting a career in marketing or in any sphere of life, I think you really have to come from a space that's really very, very honest. It shouldn't be like you're forced to sell a product and that's why you're selling a product. You really have to believe in what you're doing. I personally, before I'm constructing or conceptualizing or strategizing a project, I have to be sure, like there are a couple of launches that we are doing in country. I have to be sure of the value prop that we are kind of telling these guys, and whether they're really going to resonate. Otherwise, it's wasting time for those guys, our money, our time, their time. I think that's where you need to come from, and you need to have enough empathy to be able to stand in their shoes and think, how would your day be like if you had those challenges, that they are facing currently? Would you want to make this decision that you want them to make because you're selling your product? It's extremely important to be honest to yourself, because only then you'll be able to help them better. And in terms of marketing, because this person is not really in front of you, I mean, unlike sales, because sales is one on one, right? I mean, you can easily understand. Marketing is extremely data driven. And I mean, I honestly now I don't think I would like to call myself a marketer anymore. I would like to call myself an analyst, because I'm analyzing day in day out in terms of where are these guys going, what does their day look like, what are the challenges that they're facing, whatever I'm telling them, is it coming in from a genuine space? Do they really, be benefited out of it? So those are questions that you have to, answer. So to sum it up, I think that's B2B marketing. That's something that I am doing. Initiatives, routes for B2B marketing could be multiple. I mean, you could be working through influencers, you could be participating in trade shows. Now, in the wake of COVID, I think it's more towards the online events, online virtual trade shows if you're doing. We are heavily spending, as B2B marketers, the entire community is now spending a lot on SEO, SEM, and these are the tools that you can, capture the right kind of audience. But your pitch needs to be completely based on, what the other person needs, not what you need. So that's been my principle throughout my life. I mean, so far that I'm doing, I think that's the base. So yeah, I think I'm open for questions if you guys have any. I've given enough details, but if there's any additional stuff that you need to know, I'm open for questions. I think we had some questions. I don't know whether Jacqueline was telling me or whether it was Anisha. Um,
Yes,
Anybody
I've shared
want?
a few with you.
Yeah, can you call them out?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think we can unmute people here if they want to talk. I'll be more than happy to hear from them. Because honestly, I don't know what's their background, if they're into marketing already, or if they're yet to make that decision in life. So I think let's hear from them as to where do they need
Yeah,
assistance.
sure. So Ritamra, till they have their questions, I think um, there are a few that came in. First was something like, is MBA necessary according to you for getting started in marketing?
Okay, I'm glad you picked that. Who was it, Anisha? Was it Anisha? Was it Jacqueline? Anyway, okay, so I'm glad that you picked this up. I'll tell you why. This brings me to my journey. Um, I was doing my MBA, and I think after first semester, I had to drop for personal reasons. So I'm not an MBA. I'm just a graduate. Now, people who ask whether an MBA is necessary, education is never really wrong. Education always gives you the right kind of insight. It kind of prepares you for tomorrow. Whereas when you get into the job like directly without specializing in a certain domain in terms of a course or books or education, you have to do a lot of hit and trial, right? I mean, because you're learning on the job. That's how I did it. um, but does your learning stop with an MBA or with an engineering or with a course? No, it doesn't. It has to be on a daily basis. So to answer that question, is MBA important? Yes, it is important. But does it look like you're not going to be anywhere without an MBA? No, I think you have me in front of you. So I think as an example, that's not going to happen because it is your zeal. Um, I remember when I started back then, 15 years back, I was just out of graduation, and within 7 days of my grad getting over, I picked up a job. In the final year of my graduation, I was an enthusiastic kiddo. Okay, used to walk into the bank, and I was doing my grad in a very small town. And I did my schooling all across India. My dad was in a transferable job, so there were different, cities, small cities, big cities, combination. So final year, I remember I used to get into these banks, and ask the branch managers that, hey, are you looking for a street smart person? Because I'm that street smart person. You can actually take me, and you'll be benefited, and blah blah blah. So I was always kind of out, and I always wanted to be aware of what's happening around me. I wanted to reach out to people to get their guidance. So like these guys are doing, Expert Chat is doing a forum. I mean, they have a forum and they are holding such discussions. I was doing, on an individual level, I was reaching out to people, pestering them literally, asking questions. And that hasn't changed still. So making connections, asking them the right kind of questions, and the zeal to learn, I think that's what gets you going. So don't worry if you're not an MBA, or if you're, for some reason, if you're not able to do it. I mean, it's as good as saying that, hey, you're not from, an IIM. So where does that take you? So let me tell you, I am interviewing IIM candidates today, for my own organization. So it's, these are all kind of courses, and there are colleges and universities which kind of give you quality stuff, but doesn't mean that you will stop learning if you're not into a specific course or a specific college. I think learning is very, very individual, and that's still. And by the way, once you pick up a job, the real deal of learning is going to start then, because then you will be learning day in day out, and you will be getting challenged every day to learn something new. So don't worry about it if you are not an MBA.
Uh, the next one that they had was like, is there anything specific in your, career low point that you remember, and what was the learning from it, and basically how did you handle that?
Sorry, again, please. What was the low point in my career?
Yes, yes.
Low point in my career was, I was, yeah. So I think that again takes me back to the journey. I have not been somebody who was very clear, because I was just out of grad and I wanted to get a job. It was also a necessity for me at that point in time. I did not get enough time, and I honestly could not afford enough time to make those right choices, whether I want to get into this direction, that direction. So initial part of my career was extremely confusing. I did not know whether, I wanted to do this or that, or there was something specific that interested me. So what I did was, and yes, there was a low phase when I just started up, and this was the confusion that, where am I supposed to be headed? I mean, what's my real skill? What's my weakness? And I actually, I remember that time when I was running around like a headless chicken, looking at people, somebody to give me that kind of guidance. I was doing a couple of jobs. I was not really happy. I wasn't even know, I didn't even know whether, I wanted a specific thing. So I think what I did was, the way I handled it is, I picked up one thing at a time. I decided that whatever you're doing today, you have to nail it. You nail that particular thing, and you have to be completely involved. Like I was telling you about, when I was talking about B2B marketing, everything has to come in from a place of empathy. If you are not totally contributing to the organization, no matter what, no matter you need money or whatever, I think you need to be out of that place, because it's not right, it's not fair for the organization who's giving you an opportunity where you are kind of working half-heartedly. That's where I decided, okay, fine. And I deliberately, gotten into things, and I decided, okay, fine, doesn't matter, we'll figure it out in the due course. But today I have to give it my best shot. And today I have to talk to 5 new people to learn something new. I started implementing that. That's where I think eyeballs kind of started picking on me. Um, and I got most of my jobs through references. I mean, I didn't really get many jobs through those portals or whatever, because I was that outgoing, and I had that zeal, and I deliberately formed it. Was, these guys actually started picking on me, that this kid looks really enthusiastic, let's just maybe invest on her further, and that's where I started growing. So this has been, and which is why I specified in the beginning itself that this is the mantra, guys. I mean, you have to be empathetic, you have to be honest with what you're doing. Yes, there will be lows, yes, there will be times when you won't really like doing, what you're doing, but let's relook at things, let's look at them differently. let's understand that you're working for an organization. It's not always that you will get what you like, but you can still make the most of it, giving it your 100%, benefiting others. So that's how I kind of handled. And these are some beautiful questions, by the way, I must say.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I have a question. What is the work culture like at HP, and how does one apply for it?
Look, applying, okay, so it's not only HP. I think applying anywhere, any organization will have basic three, uh, ways or routes. I think one is you will have their email addresses all over, right? I mean, the HR guys, they on the website you will have it. So you may try and reach out to them directly. I did that all the time. Again, I mean, I was just so proactive in talking to people. At times, I would pester them off. But I think what you can do is just make a list. I mean, I remember when there was also a gap when I was not working. That was right after my wedding. There was a halt of 3 4 months. I used to make a list of 10 15 organizations, and I used to reach out to them directly and talk to them. So you can do that. You can apply through portals and build connections. I think it's very important, not just for applying for jobs. I think again, come from the place of honesty. I mean, learn something new, reach out to people on LinkedIn, book such sessions. I think this is a great way of connecting with people. And then, I mean, referrals, of course, is a way of applying. Coming to HP's culture, I think this is one of the best organizations that I'm, working with. Extremely flexible, and what I really like is the element of humanity that they have. I mean, imagine we do have cultural goals today. It's not just revenue, revenue, revenue. You have to have a goal on your personal growth. You have to have a goal, and these are these are targets. Okay, these are not just for the heck of saying it, but we do have those kind of targets that we have to work on one skill in a quarter, and then go back to our managers and talk about what have you learned. Then there are cultural goals where they're setting up targets that you have to recognize others, in a good way, and you have to reach out to people seeking their feedback of you, and then you have to start working on it. So as an organization, I honestly, so far, I think it's the best organization that I've worked with. Extremely, extremely humane. So yeah. Any more questions? I think somebody is waiting in the lobby. Sneha.
Yes. Then I think Nikhil has a question. He wants you to cite some examples of B2B marketing campaigns. I mean, which are your favorites?
I quite don't get the question. Favorite B2B campaigns?
Yeah, any B2B marketing campaigns that you think are your favorites and you think one can learn from?
Look, my favorite is when you're integrating all the marketing initiatives together. I like stitching all of them together in a journey. So my favorite, it's not like a campaign that's my favorite. I think the way we do marketing in the B2B space, I personally, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Where you're also, I mean, let's say you're doing 3 4 different things like in marketing. Okay, you may be present online, you may be present in a conference, or an event online, or you're doing ABM and you're taking another route. I really want that we need to, like I was saying, to have those buckets of audiences, and then targeting them with a relevant content. So that's something that really intrigues me. I like understanding people. I like understanding what would they be willing to hear from us, and what will they really find valuable. So that's an ongoing analysis that I think, and because campaigns can be ongoing as well, right? I mean, campaign doesn't really have to be for a specific period. There are like always on campaigns as well. So what is more intriguing in marketing today is the kind of journey that you're drafting for people. That's very important. How are you retargeting them? Are you, and then eventually what really gives a marketer a kick is that you really pursued a person throughout the journey, making him aware of the product, and then telling him the benefits, discussing is to, I mean, discussing, of course, the sales part, but then through your initiatives, if you're trying to tell him, how's it that he can be benefited, and then eventually he comes on, towards the end of that journey where he's almost ready to kind of buy, and he books a demo with you, and then he gets closed. The kind of kick you get out of that, I mean, that's a successful journey for a B2B marketer. So I think I like those end-to-end campaigns where I'm touching base with all these different data sets with different content, constantly working on, the talk points, the value props, and of course, in the due course, managing crisis. I mean, that's something I like doing. With COVID, it was bizarre. The markets had crashed. So you had to overnight kind of change your planning, your strategies, and quickly take initiatives. So that kind of gives you a kick. I mean, day in day out, you're on on your toes, and eventually, when you see things happening, not just revenue coming in, but your customers happy. I think that's something that gives me the kick. Does that answer?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, I heard two voices.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Yashvi, and I wanted to ask you a question. So, ma'am, I'm still in my undergraduation. I'm still thinking about what to pursue in marketing and how to go about it. So, ma'am, I just wanted to understand whether there are certain special skills that are required in B2B marketing that is different, that makes you different in that line, or is it just the same that, but there are certain things that, will help you shine out in that space, which maybe would have helped you in your journey as well?
That's a lovely question for your age, Yashvi. Okay, thank you for asking that. There is look, as a marketer, you need to be able to creatively think, like I just said. You need to creatively think as to where are you selling and what is the need of that particular person. Be it B2C, be it B2B, your kind of approach changes because you're selling to a company versus your approach is different when you're selling it to a consumer. So the required skill as such is that you need to be creative enough to understand and assume that you have to have the ability of stepping into the shoes of somebody else to understand that this is what this guy is like. I keep on telling my team, I have actually given them a target that every week, every day, you have to spend an hour feeling like this feeling like this customer, living his day. Imagine that you are investing and you are running this business. What is it that you would be thinking? What would you be going through? So marketing is really based on a lot of assumptions, of course backed by data and a lot of science as well. But it's I really feel that it has to come. I mean, honestly, Yashvi, for any job, I would really say that, because I'm picking up people for my team as well. Um, I honestly don't have a preset skill just for B2B marketing. There's no tailor-made skill just for B2B marketing. I think as a beginner, you need to be ready to explore. You need to be ready to understand other human emotions. You need to be respectful towards these people, right? And of course, you need to have that kind of zeal and fire in your belly that I have to get this done. You have to be prompt enough. So I think these are the basic skills. Because you're a beginner right now, marketing skills, marketing, of course, I mean, you have all the bookish knowledge available all over, right? I mean, 4Ps and 5Ws, I mean, all that is everywhere. But I have learned so far in my career that as a person, I mean, MBAs or grads, everybody is doing it, right? Everybody is kind of nurturing those skills. But what I see lacks in people um, is the learn to grow. I mean, the zeal to grow, the zeal to kind of learn every day. So I think that fire in the belly has to be constant. So be that kind of human, and trust me, there will be people who will be picking on you, right? So work on that. And of course, I mean, for these specific marketing skills, I mean, you can do various courses. There are plenty of them available. But yeah, sorry, one more thing. I think if you are looking at this direction from a technical skill perspective, you should start investing a lot of time on digital, because it's all backed by data now. So if you have relevant information around how does paid media work, What are the factors when the agencies are building a media plan? What are the factors? How does digital marketing work? How does an SEO work? How do you make sure that your listings are up on the on shelf, the Google rankings? How does SEM work? I think those are few, and then data science, so how does data science work? How are they kind of preparing those analysis? So on the technical front, I think any marketer, not just B2B, needs to be sound, because that's where it's moving. That's where it's moving. And invest your time in growth marketing. It's pure science. So if you want to learn growth marketing, I think there are courses available. Invest your time there. That's the next big thing for marketing.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Any more questions? The audience pretty quiet.
Yes, you have another question. For hiring a B2B marketer, what type of profile or prior experience would be necessary on your resume?
So like I mentioned, look, if somebody tells me, and as I speak, I just had a discussion with somebody yesterday. For me, I meet people who are so there are two criteria that I look at. One is technical, one is non-technical. When you talk about technicalities, of course, I would be looking at somebody who understands how to build these journeys, who has that creative ability to understand that, okay, point A, you have to touch this person with so and so talk points and content, and then retarget him with something. So this is a consumer journey. I want somebody to be able to creatively think, because B2B is, like I said, it's a longer sales cycle. It's not just a day's job, right? So nurture is extremely important. Somebody who can constantly build on that journey. Second, somebody who really has sound knowledge on the digital front. I mean, how does online work? Which platform or what kind of targeting should you go after? What kind of targetings are available? So for example, I mean, on Google, we are checking, buying behavior. Google has an ability to kind of give you a set targeting for your consumers, and these are called custom affinity, and they kind of tell you what are the kind of buying behaviors they have been having online, what kind of videos are they watching, what are they actually searching for. So these are things that these are the prerequisites today for a B2B marketer, or for any marketer again. So online journey building, I think these are two very, very important aspects. And on the non-technical front, again, I said, and this is, by the way, the most difficult one. I don't get those kind of people very often. Somebody who's extremely zealous of, growing and learning. I mean, then other things shouldn't matter to you. I mean, if you're getting an opportunity, just grab it, because that's how I've been. And that really works both ways, not just for me, for the organization as well. So I need that person who comes from the place of empathy. So these are the prerequisites.
Ma'am?
Yes.
How was HP affected by this pandemic, and how did you overcome it?
Not just HP, I think all the industries are kind of, actually not all. So there is a mix. I mean, few industries kind of boomed, in COVID. For example, e-commerce. And few were kind of, losing shares very drastically. So there are, I mean, you have to overnight decide where the low-hanging fruits are, and you have to quickly capture, because not the entire data set is kind of affected to the extent that they will stop buying. So I think, and all the companies, I mean, not just specific to HP, but all the companies today are looking at where the low-hanging fruits and where can you pick them up quickly. So again, where those people who are, ready in the buying cycle. So because you don't have that kind of time right now to convince somebody to buy, and then you kind of, sell it to them. So then you rather instead, you move towards people who are more matured in the buying cycle, who are more ready for buying, and you talk to them. Because of course, for all the organizations, I think revenue generation was important. Of course, it was impacted, but then it's also now recovering. It's not like it's kind of gone down the hill. It's now coming back in shape. But yeah, during that time, I think what was important was, of course, it took a halt for some time, and you had to be humane enough to understand that you can't really talk to people about selling and investing in such times. So that was the time that we took to kind of educate people, to help them understand it's all going to be okay, and to be there to kind of understand how can we as a brand help, because they're the clients. And we had more such discussions during that time. And although I think most of the organizations had to do it because that was the only way. So it was a bit of a crisis situation, but then it was a mix of capturing the low hanging fruits and at the same time calming people down, giving them the right information, giving them the information about um, the values that your products are giving you. And that's something that they could have looked at future. I mean, why do they have to buy during COVID? But you could still educate them in terms of how can they be helped with whatever is on the plate for us to offer to them. So it was more informational during COVID. But then eventually, when the market started recovering, we started capturing low hanging fruits and we started converting. So now it's coming back on track. Oh, we have something in the chat as well. I've not been seeing that. Oh, I have a very interesting question here for you. Okay, this one I just answered. What was your role in your first job and how has it evolved throughout your career? My first job was very interesting. I started working with Frankfurt, and they're so sweet, I'll tell you. I mean, I was actually a receptionist. I was on the reception. But they gave me a nice uniform, and I was just out of grad. I mean, 7 days that I finished my grad, I was into this job, and they gave me a nice title, which was called CIO. So I was thrilled with this designation. I was like, wow, that sounds so cool. I'm a CIO, and CIO was CIO was nothing but a center information officer, because of course you get all the information from the reception. So yeah, I mean, that was my first job. And over the years, because I was a CIO, a receptionist there, and the next level was that of a counselor. So that's where you would talk to people, guide them about the trainings and what should they pick and what is more suitable for them. So I was very intrigued by that role. Like I said, I mean, one step at a time. So when I was there as a receptionist, I wanted the next big thing, which was being the counselor. Um, so I actually became a counselor, not with Frankfurt, but with another startup. And oh, I had a ball of a time because I would get all these students coming to me, and of course I had to sell the courses, but then I would spend a lot of time chatting with them. They were very happy. I actually did a lot of closures. So I would understand, why are they here? What are they feeling? Where they, currently in their own lives? So all those discussions really helped. And then I think I did Kingdom of Dreams. Yeah, and I like exploring different industries. So I was very happy. I went into hospitality for once, and my God, that's quite hectic as a job. And then I was picked by Canon, which is very surprising because from hospital. And by the way, this was through no reference. It was just an interview offer. I mean, it was just an offer for the role, and they called me for the interview, and I went, and they were good with it. And yeah, so that's how it kind of from education to hospitality to technology, and then finally at HP. All right, we have something else. Can you please give out a few examples of B2B marketing? Examples of B2B marketing could be plenty. So it's like, okay, even in your B2C space, there is a lot of B2B involved. So B2B is everywhere today, and I'll tell you how. One best example, and I think you would then be able to understand how it works, is automobile. Like I think I already mentioned it, right? Automobiles, where so there's one automobile, you're actually selling it to a consumer, but in that automobile, I think there are various parts of different organizations which are kind of being bought, in bulk. So at that level, it is B2B happening, right? And similarly with e-commerce, I mean, for example, Amazon, I mean, they're kind of buying, they're having, sellers on board. So that point in time, it's, I mean, at that level, it's B2B. Construction, I mean, the raw material that comes in, and you buy in any wholesaler is B2B. Or any, for example, HP, I mean, they're selling production printers, right? I mean, you sell this printer to somebody who's setting up his own business to print for other brands like Nestle's or Pepsi's or so on. So, and that's the marketing part that I'm handling today, large format division. You make printers for architects, right? I mean, they're buying it and using it for their own business. So these are all B2B. I mean, B2B is nothing but you kind of make a product and sell it to a business for them to either use it in their workflow, or they use it for their own production and cater to their own clients. So it's that. Okay, I think I don't have any. Yes, please.
Ma'am, I had a question. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Mayuri, right?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Actually, my question is, like you said, and not only you, there are many hirers like you, like who look for the zeal in the candidate to look for the zeal to learn.
Mhm.
But take it in the point of view as a candidate. Suppose you are a candidate, how do you display that zeal?
You ask the right questions. You're more proactive. Sorry, Mayuri, what do you do currently?
Ma'am, I'm a BBA grad. I'm looking for doing an MBA or going for a job. I am currently in a dilemma kind of situation. I don't know whether to go for a job, and
You're a
if
BBA
I'll
right
get a
now. I mean, you are doing your
yes,
BBA
ma'am, yes,
currently?
ma'am. No, I finished it just in September.
Okay, and you don't know whether to go for a job or for further studies.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you want to do? Do you want to pursue studies further? Do you really want to pick up, a job right now, or do you want to do both?
Ma'am, actually, I want to do both.
There you go. Okay, so first question is answered. You want to do both. Now, how do you do that? So let's say your first decision is made that you want to do a course as well, and let's say you want to do part-time right now, or do you want to do it like full-time job and through some kind of, what do you call
Ma'am,
it? Yes.
Ma'am, actually, I want to develop something as a side. The side hustle thing is growing nowadays. No, I want to do something of my own, which I can earn from, like something like you told, digital marketing is growing nowadays. No, I can
Mhm.
learn from courses and want to develop it like a side career out of it. Like I can do freelancing on content writing if I learn content writing or something like that. And I want to pursue my marketing degree as well.
Okay, so you're in a very common place, Mayuri. I think I have lived this where I wanted to do content writing and digital marketing, and I wanted to study further, and I wanted to do this and that and everything. So what you do is, what does zeal mean? Now, in your state, what did I do? Like I said, I did not have such forums. How many people have you reached out to on LinkedIn, or because you have a lot of access today? We didn't have this kind of access to
Yes, ma'am.
information, right? Um, how many people have you written to? How many people have you blogged slots with to discuss that? I need clarity. Can you please tell me what do I need to do? Because I'm confused. Have you done that with anybody?
Ma'am, I'm currently doing that.
You're doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what zeal is. So then you're on the right track. I mean, you have to figure out people and you have to have the right discussions. Now, you're a BBA currently and you want to pursue courses further. You can pick up few courses around, like I said, I mean, digital marketing. You have plenty of courses around data, around SEO, SEM, certification courses. I mean, keep on doing them. And you will have to keep on doing them for your life. I mean, it's not right now. So I would suggest that you if you want to pick up a job, there's nothing wrong. I mean, with a job, I think the practical exposure that you get is immense, and you will actually like learning on the job. Now, your major question was, how do you decide? How does a recruiter decide whether a person has zeal or doesn't have a zeal? We can actually assess through the way people talk to us. Um, can I request everybody to go on mute, please? It's a lot of noise in the background. Yeah. So I assess with the way a person talks. Um, how would I be growing? What would be there to learn? Okay, fine. Can I also explore other segments while I'm doing it? What are you doing it? What is your product line? How do you market? Now, for a student or for a fresher or for somebody who has come to apply, these things are mandatory to understand somebody else's business. These are the very, I mean, if you really want to apply somewhere, you would want to understand how does their organization work. So somebody asked me those questions, I would instantly say that, okay, fine, this person is really interested. How does your entire ecosystem work? Marketing is not independent of other functions. So how are you correlating yourself with sales? How are you talking to other stakeholders? Who are the other stakeholders? And not just while selecting these guys, when they're on board, uh, it shouldn't kind of fade out. I mean, the zeal should not only be to show the recruiter so that the recruiter hires you. The zeal needs to come in from an honest place. Even when you are hired, you should be full of questions as to, I mean, I was at a point in time when I wouldn't even know what to ask, because in order to ask right questions, you should have some background, you should have some intelligence. So what I used to do was I used to grasp a lot of information from other people, other discussions. I would proactively say that, there are these phone calls happening and nobody would invite me because I was a fresher and I was just kind of there, not really adding much of a value. Um, but I would request, can I be a part of these con calls? Because when you hear to people, that's when you start learning. Learning cannot only be bookish. Learning has to be through other people, through your surroundings, through what's happening around you, right? And to be willing to understand and to be willing to accept that information in your own system and to be willing to process it, to kind of understand things better. I think that's what zeal is. And you don't have to do anything extra to show it. The recruiter would know. They would know. And trust me, even if you're not asking the right questions, our experience is such that we will understand that you're really willing to work and learn. Does it answer?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you
Right.
so much, ma'am. You answered it really well.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Do we have anybody else? Any more questions?
Good morning, ma'am. This is Niharika.
Hi, Niharika.
Yeah. Ma'am, so actually, I want to just ask you, like, I think you answered my question before also, but I just want to be a bit clear about this. Ma'am, doing a job, like currently I'm working in a completely tech side, okay, like the manufacturing side, okay. And after graduation, I directly joined the company. I'm having a 1 year experience also, but now I want to swap my career without an MBA. So how should and like what type of company should I be focusing? Because wherever like the marketing things, like normally if I search online, they'll be like you require a prior experience or you should be a graduate in the particular marketing field or something. So being uh, like a graduate just with 1 year experience in the manufacturing side, how can I apply to jobs or where can I apply? Or you think it is better to join an internship, learn, and then, yeah, exactly. Like, what should I do?
Okay. So right now you're in the technical side and you want to get into the marketing side.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
May I ask why?
Ma'am, because I really think like this is not my domain. Like I think, yeah, because I was working for a year and something, like I'm really happy with my job, my profile and stuff. But this is not where I see myself. Like to be very frank, this is not where I see myself in future. See myself as a person doing that. Yeah, and I
Okay.
really like yeah. Like I don't know how to explain, but
That's okay. Don't worry about it. So you're saying that you want to now start a career in, and how much experience do you have? 1 year, right?
1 year, 2019 pass out. Yeah.
So you can definitely do it. There's nothing wrong. So I think because you're still a beginner, it's easy for you. So right now is the time to switch, if you want to. And like I said, what have you done again in your grad?
I'm a mechanical engineer, like the completely tech side.
Nothing like it. Okay, so people generally, I mean, these days we see that combination a lot. So people do their engineering, then they do an MBA, and then they come into marketing. Okay, and at times they're just engineers and they still are into marketing. Right now, I would say if you are kind of, I love the clarity, by the way, that you have, that this is what you want to do. Many of us they don't have. I mean, I was completely clueless to what do I want to do. So I was just kind of picking up whatever I had and I was nailing it with my best shot. But if you have that already, nothing like it. I mean, then you can reach out to recruiters yourself and say that, I'm really passionate about this. And this is a very good answer. Sorry, what's your name again? Is that Niharika, right? Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So Niharika, I think this is a very good answer where you said that I have just, I've tried it for 1 year, but I really think I'm made for this. And this is the zeal that I'm talking about, that you're able to kind of figure out, you're able to, make the choices for your own self, and you're ready to reach out to people to seek help proactively. So you have to go out there, you have to talk to people and say that, I was doing this. I don't want to waste any more time because I know I'm not made for this. I'm instead made for this. Why don't you give me a shot? Okay. And we can talk after an year or 6 months. If I don't prove, it will be your call. But why don't you give me a shot? And I'm ready and open to learn. And meanwhile, I would suggest to start doing these courses, certification courses, like I was saying. This will give you an edge if you really want to be into marketing. I think because online is extremely, extremely important. Data is extremely important. So understand how does it work. And there are a lot of certification courses around it. So I think you should spend more time on those courses and then start reaching out to the recruiters. They would love to hear it, by the way. We keep on looking for people who would want to reach out to us and say that, we really, really want to do it. And why don't you just give us a chance? So I don't hear this often, honestly, these days. So I think I'm very happy to hear this. You should make that shift and reach out to the right people, build more connections.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Oh, I was looking at, okay. Oh, sorry, I have few questions down. Can somebody please moderate it for me, Anisha or Jacqueline? I think this is the question. I want to know what was your role in your first. Okay, I've answered this. For hiring a B2B marketer, what type of profile of prior experience would you? I think I answered this as well. Okay.
I think the last one is left for you.
One is left, right?
Priya.
Okay.
Yes.
How important it is for B2B companies to handle social media handles? Okay. Is it for branding or it helps to drive sales as well? Which are your primary social media channels and why do you consider the channels? I see you have a page for hiring too. Like why can't the company page be used for it? Sorry, last part I could not understand. So let me just start with the social media and then we can unmute her to talk more. Okay. How important is social media handle? Very important because look, even if it is B2B, you have to, I mean, awareness is the first step, right? And through social, you're giving people a chance to come on the page and to understand what's happening. Also, data. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard of cookie pool. You would be cleaning cookies, right, on your systems all the time. So what happens really? I mean, when you are, when you are actually available on social, so there are two things actually. One is having a social media handle. So let's say an organization has an FB page or a Twitter page. That's because people would follow you, and then you can make them more aware. But what works for B2B more is not really the organic social media. For us, the dark posts work better, the ads work better. So it's paid media where you're going after a specific targeted audience, and you're pushing your ads and you're pushing content, relevant information to that specific audience set. Okay, so for B2B, I think paid media helps better. Social media can be used, but you won't have much traction through organic social media. Again, if it is paid to a specific audience set, then it is good. Okay, which are your primary social media channels? Generally are like, I mean, all of them, like, I mean, you can find it online. I mean, there's the YouTube, and then there is Twitter, and then there is Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that. And I couldn't understand the last part. I see you have a page for hiring too. Like, why can't the company page be used for it? Sorry, for what? Can we unmute her and maybe she can explain?
We are unable to hear her voice. I think she means to say you have a HP hiring page on Insta.
Okay. And what is the question again?
So she wants to understand why, specifically, do you have a page for hiring, and why can't you just use a company profile page?
Maybe to maximize the reach. I don't know. I mean, that's precisely an HR call, so I won't be able to answer that. But I'm assuming it's for maximizing reach to people. It's more convenient, isn't it? I mean, if you have more pages, more options to reach out to the HR, it's more convenient for the users. So I'm assuming that's the intention, but I'm not sure. I think HR is the right segment.
Okay, any questions? The rest? Anisha?
No question. Thank you for
I
your
think
time.
bang on time, girls. I think this is this is amazing. All right. So if no more questions, I think we can do the closing quickly.
Yes. So I think, okay. So, and if you'll have any further questions, you all can share it with us, and we can basically share it with Ritambra, and then you all can get your rewards. Otherwise, I think we are done, Ritambra.
Okay, perfect. I had a lot of fun.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much. This 1 hour of your
Thank
time on
you.
a weekend means a lot.
No, this was a pleasure, totally.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yes, so thank you everyone for joining in, and you all can check out the expert app for the upcoming sessions, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.